Every year, there always seems to be a game that I end up super addicted to, consuming my every waking thought and occasionally ruining my sleep schedule in the process. In 2023, it was Stardew Valley, and then later in the year, it was Baldur's Gate 3. In 2024, it was Divinity Original Sin and Slay the Spire. And now, in the year 2025, the latest hole I've fallen headfirst into is Love and Deep Space, which was honestly really unexpected for me. And if you've been following me on literally any platform, this is not news to you, because I will not shut up about this game. And firstly, I have to say, this video is not sponsored. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you why you should play this game, okay? I'm here to tell you how I ended up here. Take this video as a cautionary tale, or better yet, a cry for help. And for the sake of saving time in this video, I'm going to assume if you clicked on this video that you are either also deep in the Love and Deep Space hole, or you're at least somewhat familiar with the concept and have seen it around somewhere. I'm betting the other half of my audience looked at the title and said, yeah, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Sorry, Emily. And you know what? I'm gonna admit it. I once thought the same. I used to think the ads for this game were super cringe. I have no idea if they've gotten better since then, but last year, these did not make me want to play the game. And truthfully, I never really thought of myself as an ultimate game enjoyer. Years ago, I tried playing Star-Crossed Myth, didn't like it. I never hopped on the Mystic Messenger train back when it exploded, and at some point, I tried playing Tears of Themis, but quickly realized it wasn't for me and I ended up dropping it. So this is kind of new territory for me. So then, why are we here? Part 1, The Bait, aka the first sponsor. As some of you know, earlier this year, Didus and I were approached by Infold to do a sponsored video for Love and Deep Space over on the Spilled Ink channel where we draw their newest love interest, Caleb. I'd worked with Infold before, and I figured we get to draw attractive men for a video, I can get paid for it, and then we can go our separate ways and carry on with our lives as usual. She thought to herself, like a fool. So I logged in daily and got myself acquainted with the game for like a week or so. You know, for research. When I first started playing Love and Deep Space, I was overwhelmed with the amount of lore that this game had. Like at first glance, you might assume it's just sexy boy toy simulator like I initially did, but there is a lot of information you have to take in, and there is a lot of reading. So if you don't like reading, then this game is probably not for you, because a lot of the appeal is in the story and character lore. And again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to explain every aspect of the lore and gameplay, because if I have to go into detail about the Deep Space Tunnel and Evols and Protocores and Onikindness and the Evergroup and everyone's past lives and Protofields and Ether Cores, I'm gonna actually lose my fucking mind. All you need to know for this video is that you are the titular main character who I will be referring to as MC. You have a special heart that allows you to be reincarnated over and over again, and thus there are 5 attractive men who are connected to some version of you that once existed in the past or future and meet you again in the current main timeline. And they also all want you desperately. You know, standard Ultimate Game stuff. So I do my week of gameplay, we finish recording our sponsored video, go home and sleep, and the next day, Didus hears from the living room.
Some love for longevity before fading to dust.
You know our sponsor's done, right? You're not required to keep playing the game.
Oh, yeah, I know, but there's a few days left in the current banner, so I figured I'd grind some more diamonds and see if I can pull some more memories. After that's done, though, I'm gonna stop playing.
Oh, okay. Have fun.
It's been... what, 4 months since we took that sponsor? Yep, I'm still here. Number 2, The Hook, aka the love interest that stole my heart. This is an Ultimate game, which means there's a whole cast of hot guys with varying personalities for you to choose from. So here are our eligible bachelors. Bachelor number 1 is Raphael, with a face card so lethal he's the game's designated poster boy. He's a talented artist with a playful bratty side, and while he initially hires you to be his bodyguard, you could also be the muse he's been waiting for a lifetime. Bachelor number 2 is Zane. This serious, soft-spoken surgeon has a cold and professional demeanor. Once he was your childhood friend, but is now your super hot primary care physician. He knows the ins and outs of your heart medically, but will you let him into your heart on a deeper level? Bachelor number 3 is Xavier. This Final Fantasy coded pretty boy is a man of mystery, complete with his very own masked alter ego. He is your extremely skilled battle babe colleague and your upstairs neighbor, and although he can't cook for shit, there is no better person to cuddle with on a sleepy, rainy day. Bachelor number 4 is Silas. The leader of the largest crime syndicate in the most dangerous part of town, he strikes fear into the hearts of those who know of his power and influence. And while he may come dressed as an intimidating walking red flag, he would love nothing more than to be your sweet and tender lover boy in every timeline. And the most recent addition to the Bachelor lineup is Caleb, who is also arguably the most controversial love interest because he is severely mentally unwell and technically your adopted brother. All right, pause. I see your face. Let me explain. In all other languages except English, Caleb is MC's not blood-related adopted brother. This is not my interpretation. This is literally how it's written. As a child, because of her special heart, MC was subjected to illegal human experimentation at a research lab, where she met Caleb, a fellow test subject. So for as long as either of them could remember, these two were extremely codependent, traumatized orphans. Eventually, they were both taken in by Josephine, a researcher who actually helped facilitate the same experiments done to them, but has seemingly abandoned that cause in favor of letting them live a normal life. And she takes on the role of their adoptive grandma, and thus, they grow up together under her care. And so, MC will frequently refer to Caleb by one of these honorifics depending on the language you play. I'm gonna use Oppa as an example, just because that's the one that I'm most familiar with personally. So, from my understanding, a lot of the romantic conflict for Caleb is that he has grown up playing the familial role of Oppa or big brother out of survival, comfort, and safety. But since he's never really viewed MC as just a sibling, and now that their adoptive status has since been terminated, he wants to cross that line and stop hiding his feelings from her. MC is used to calling him Oppa/familial. He just also really wants to be Oppa/romantic. Now, here's where I think things get complicated. There is no English equivalent to these honorifics, and additionally, the whole stepbrother, adopted brother thing is a way more common romance trope in Asian media in general, and much weirder for Western audiences. So in the English localization of the game, MC is instead like,
Caleb, my close childhood friend, who I grew up with under the same roof, under the same guardian.
That just sounds like a more roundabout way of saying your adopted brother.
He's my close childhood friend!
Okay, damn! Now, I totally understand why this dynamic would ick some people out, and I get why the English localization removed any mention of an adopted relationship and made him a childhood friend instead. But as a result, it causes a lot of confusion and arguing in fandom discussions surrounding Caleb. The closest comparison to this that I can think of is Eren and Mikasa from Attack on Titan. Some players are more comfortable with the English localized version of his and MC's relationship, which I think is fair. This is a single-player Otome game, and you should feel free to engage with the story in a way that's most comfortable to you. Whichever version you choose to accept as canon, what remains unchanged is the fact that MC and Caleb grew up together, and are bonded through a shared trauma and the intense fear of losing each other again. And I do think that that complexity adds that extra layer of depth, yearning, and angst that this game is chock full of. Caleb is a tragic, doomed mess in every sense of the word, and that's why he's the love interest that drew me into the game the hardest. I really like the duality of him feeling so comfortable because of his pre-established closeness with MC, and simultaneously being extremely uncomfortable because of how much he's changed from his dependable golden boy persona, and how he and her keep tiptoeing around this unspoken line that they're both scared to cross. He's stuck in a catch-22 situation where he wants to break away from the role he's felt he's had to play in her life since they were kids, while at the same time desperately clinging on to those same memories because it's that very same role that's kept her so close to him all this time, and he's scared it's the only version of himself that MC will want to keep in her life. And these memories are literally the only thing allowing him to hold on to whatever shred of humanity he has left in him because he has a literal chip in his brain that's trying to alter his emotions and memories, and I'm so normal about this character, I promise. As polarizing of a character as he is, I find the complicated nature of Caleb's romantic conflict with MC, combined with his occasional unpredictable yandere-esque tendencies, to be honestly kind of fun to read and play through. A lot of people hate that about him, and that is fine. There's a reason why there's 4 other love interests to choose from. Listen, I'm not here to play comfy green flag boyfriend simulator, okay? I'm here for the morally gray angst and the mess, and info delivered. The way I feel about Caleb mirrors the way I felt about Astarion back when I was really into Baldur's Gate 3. And I know they are two very different characters, but Astarion is also a deeply flawed character, being manipulative, self-centered, callous, and paranoid. But he's also incredibly well-written and voiced, with a story arc so compelling I couldn't stop myself from romancing him in every playthrough I started. Caleb is extremely manipulative, calculating, and possessive, and by all accounts, including his own, this man is not right in the head and likely never has been. But I think he's also incredibly well-written and voiced. Also, he's hot. They're hot, okay? We were all thinking it! And to answer the frequently asked, how does Didus feel about you playing this game? Okay, first of all, do you really think for a second that my boyfriend would feel threatened by a fictional character? This is a man who is very secure in his position of IRL boyfriend. Never mind the fact that these characters and their stories are so far removed from reality, they were never perceived as a threat to begin with. Now, obviously, if I were spending all of my available funds on this game and actually neglecting him and our relationship in favor of this fictional character, then yes, that would be a problem. Just as it would be if it were reversed. But that's not at all what's happening here. So do not worry. Didus is number one in my heart, and I didn't think that had to be clarified. He didn't give a shit when I was romancing a vampire elf rogue in desperate need of therapy, and I assure you, he does not give a shit that I'm romancing a gravity-manipulating space colonel with a bionic arm who is also in desperate need of therapy. These characters aren't real! I know I'm super focusing on Caleb in particular because he's my main, but all of the love interests have these beautifully written and complex stories, which brings me to my next point. Number 3, reeling me in, the secret sauce. The one word that I think describes the secret sauce that hooks me and so many other players is tension. There is so much tension, and a lot of it is rooted in, surprise, tragedy. It is nicknamed love and depression for a reason. In the main story, all of the love interests have reasons for creating distance between themselves and MC, which felt really jarring to me when I first got into the game and didn't know anything about these characters, and I just assumed they were going to be fighting for my attention from minute one. I remember thinking, why is Zane so awkward if we're supposedly childhood friends? Why does Raphael act super familiar one second and then aloof the next? Why does it feel like Xavier's avoiding me? Why did Silas make me shoot him the first time we met? Why is Caleb so cold and suffocating now that we're reunited? Also, why am I kind of into it? And as I slowly played through the story and learned more about both MC and all of these guys she's literally cosmically bound to, it recontextualized all of those first awkward meetings I witnessed when I was fresh to the game. And because there's so much tension, all of the memory cards where that distance is closed, either through sweet tender moments of longing or otherwise, it feels like crack. For me, anyway. I really like the tension. Which is probably why I like Caleb so much, because all of his cards are just an Olympic what-are-we tug-of-war match between him and MC. The love and deep space curiosity to emotional investment pipeline essentially goes like this. Ooh, look, sexy fictional man you like. Oh, heh, I like sexy fictional man. Ooh, shiny. Ah! Oh my god, what? That's so sad. Why would you do that? I'm just kidding. Look, ooh, sexy Valentine's Day banner. Ooh, you like? Okay, yeah, I like sexy banner. Yay! Got you again, dumbass! Hey, guess what? If you get the bad ending of this card, he dies. Happy Valentine's Day. Please, I just want them to be happy. Why are you doing this? Getting serious for a second. Side note. Love in Deep Space is a gacha game, and just like with all the other gacha games that's hot on the market right now, it is designed to make you want to spend money on memory cards and outfits, and they're damn good at it. So you should really only play if you're an adult and can be responsible with these kinds of games. And on that note, this might be a controversial opinion, but it's for that reason that I think it's a little unfair when people in the fan space get lambasted for not being familiar with everyone's lore, because unfortunately, a lot of the characters' personal lore is locked behind a gacha system that's only available during limited runs and reruns. And realistically, you're not going to pull for every banner, especially if you're free to play and depending on the very limited resources you can get from doing dailies. The only reason why I know even half of what I know as a newer player is because of friends who main the other characters and love to talk about their lore. But if you're playing Love in Deep Space casually and going based off just the main story, there's a lot of information you miss out on. Like, for example, if you started playing during the Spring Flower banner and pulled for Silas's Valley Dream Bloom card, you probably wouldn't know that so much of that memory card directly parallels his myth story, because how would you? Of course, I think it's important to read what is freely available to you if you care about the story, and I'm not saying the story is negligible. It's like 90% of the game, so I can't imagine it being a very fun experience if you're ignoring absolutely everything, but I don't think it should be a requirement to have to do additional outside homework to enjoy this game. I mean, unless you really want to. Admittedly, it does help a lot, because sometimes it gets really confusing trying to figure out where all the memory cards fall in the timeline. I'm just saying, if you want to focus on one guy's story and nobody else's, who cares? They certainly don't care, they're not real. Part of the enjoyment I get from this game is from fan discussions, headcanons, and hearing my friends gush about their favorite characters. I don't give a shit if user 5784 never pulls or reads any of Caleb's cards and thinks he's a huge creep. It doesn't affect my gameplay or personal enjoyment. And the funny thing is, I've been spending more money on the outside experiences this game has brought me and things that remind me of it than the actual banners and pulls in the game. You want to know how deep in the hole I am right now? Alright, brace yourselves. I bought fruit-themed jewelry, and it wasn't strawberries. I know, I don't even know myself anymore. They were apples. I bought apple earrings because they reminded me of Caleb. And I would have stopped myself had it not been for my friends gleefully enabling my descent into madness, which brings me to my final point of why I'm stuck in the hole. Number 4, creative and social appeal. Ever since I got into this game, the little fan art hamster wheel in my head has been working overtime. It started with little childhood trio headcanon fan comics, and then a Caleb MC high school headcanon fan comic, which then snowballed into fan art of all the love interests in a high school alternate universe where they all represented different shoujo manga tropes. I usually hate drawing, guys, and suddenly the only thing I was interested in drawing were these beautiful fictional guys. And aside from how much fun I was having creatively, the nicest part about it was how supportive my viewers were about the onslaught of fan art they were getting, even if they weren't into the game. It made me so happy whenever I saw a comment that was something along the lines of, "I don't play this game and don't plan to, but I love seeing how happy you are making art about it." It just made me feel less embarrassed about posting art, and I can't express enough just how grateful I am for everyone who was so kind about it. I've even made some new art mutuals through all the fan art I've been drawing and consuming. And of course, I'm not alone in this hole. It's been so much fun watching my IRL friends get dragged into the hole with me and using this game as a bridge to form new friendships. Girls who I once knew only on a professional level were now the same girls I was planning Oshikatsu events with. I had a friend who hit me up just to ask if I wanted to go to Shibuya to look at a 15-second Silas birthday billboard. And I was like, hell yeah, why not? And afterwards, we spent hours at an izakaya just chatting and having a good time. Even when we're planning extravagant birthday picnics or bringing our plushies along to flower-themed afternoon tea or excitedly yapping about lore over a plate of cheap bar food, at a certain point, it stops being about these tragic, hot, pixelated men and more about making fun, genuine memories with the girls in my life. And that's a part of fandom culture I love the most. And to be honest, if it weren't for these girls keeping the excitement alive with me, I wouldn't be nearly as invested in the game as I currently am. And if after watching this whole video, you're still thinking to yourself, wow, this is really cringe and sad, then you know what? Fine. But I'm out here having the time of my life with girls who can share the excitement and joy with me. And how sad could that possibly be? I know that there will come a day when my interest in this game will fizzle out and I'll stop logging in, just as I have for all the other games I've gotten obsessed with in the past. But until that day comes, I'll make a good use of the time by finding joy in it creatively, socially, and emotionally. And I hope you allow yourself to shamelessly indulge in the silly little things that make you happy. Thanks so much for watching.